Welcome back to the Crypto Watch channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is starting to reject from my exact area of resistance in the immediate short term, and this is happening right after we just saw the Federal Reserve announce their next decision on interest rates, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside Ethereum, which is still technically playing out this short-term bullish signal, while the price of XRP is continuing to hold above this crucial line of support on the price chart. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, we need to take a look at some news today. First of all, we've just seen another FOMC meeting, also known as a Fed meeting, where basically the Federal Reserve gets together and decides on interest rates. And this time around, they decided to keep interest rates, or the Fed funds rate, at the same level. So no change in interest rates this time around, which was the expectation being priced into the markets beforehand. And so due to the fact that this was already being priced in before it was happening, obviously it didn't really affect the markets too much. And if we're taking a quick look at the US stock market today, looking at the 1 hour time frame, I'm recording this video basically right as the market is closing in the after hours here. And so far throughout the trading day here on Wednesday, we did see a bit of a pullback, a slight little cool off in the US stock market, but so far in the after hours having a slight little bullish move, still trading right underneath all-time record highs. And so this is telling us that in the immediate short term, we could see a slight little struggle for Bitcoin and crypto, especially if we're running into certain points of resistance in the short term. But overall, in terms of maybe the next few days, while the US stock market is continuing this bullish relief, we're likely going to continue a little bit more of a relief over the next few days or so for the crypto market is a very likely scenario. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today here on the weekly time frame, not a lot has changed over the last 1 day on this chart right here. So the super chain indicator still sitting in the red, and of course this bearish divergence still in place on the weekly Bitcoin price chart. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, right now the price of Bitcoin is still in this sideways price range, bouncing between this support and this resistance. First of all, the support is still sitting at around 85 to 86,000, especially at around 86,000. We have a lot of support around there on the price chart. And as for resistance, we have strong resistance in between roughly 92,000 to 94,000, especially in the higher end of that range. We have once again a lot of resistance, especially closer towards 94,000. And ideally, we need to see a confirmed breakout back above 94,000 and actually hold above that level in order to potentially avoid this fractal that's currently playing out, which is basically the price repeating history. Obviously, right now on the daily Bitcoin price chart, we're still seeing very similar price structure, very similar price action compared to what we saw in early 2022, around March entering into April 2022. Obviously, right now it looks very similar to what we saw back then. And remember, what we saw back then, we did see little short-term bounces and short-term bullish reliefs that played out over a few days. This one right here, almost around a week worth of a slight bullish relief in the shorter term, but overall, the larger structure still overall looking bearish. If we're talking about the next multiple weeks or the next 1 or 2 months, for example, that sort of time frame, still obviously looking quite weak. So right now, once again, if we're talking about, say, the next month, for example, we're not in the clear yet. In order to finally start flipping much more bullish again in terms of the next few months, we need to break out back above 94,000 and actually hold above that level. Basically, above 94K, we're looking really good on the daily time frame. Below 94K, ultimately, we're not in the clear yet. We still need to be cautious. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 6 hour Bitcoin price chart, obviously over the last few days, we've been perfectly playing out this bullish divergence on the 6 hour time frame in the form of this slight bullish relief here, at least up until we've just now started to run into my exact area of resistance that I've been talking about over the last few days, sitting in between 90,000 to 90.5K. And so far, that's exactly where the price is starting to struggle at, and of course see a slight rejection from here in the short term. And so as always, we need to pay attention to and be aware of these points of resistance along the way towards the upside. So even though we're playing out this bullish relief, playing out a bullish divergence, which is technically still active on the 6 hour time frame, once again, do not ignore points of resistance where the price would likely struggle at or see these sort of rejections from. And now, considering the fact that this bullish divergence is technically still active on the 6 hour time frame, it is quite likely that maybe in the coming hours or days. Within the next couple of days, we're likely at some stage going to see another retest of this resistance. And then once again, it's possible we could still struggle around that area because we've not yet broken out. But if we actually confirm a breakout above that area, so for example, a 6-hour candle close confirming above 90.5K and actually holding above that area, in that situation, the next significant resistance is at closer towards 94,000, especially 93 to 94K as very strong resistance. But once again, the immediate obstacle is still sitting at around 90,000 to 90.5K. And as for support, in case we were to see a further rejection all the way back down here, I would expect a lot of support at around 86.5K to 87,000 here in the short term. And then once again, also more support in between 85 to 86,000. So around these lows, we do have a lot of support for the price of Bitcoin here. But right now, once again, we're running into this short-term resistance, but considering the bullish divergence is still active, like I just said a moment ago, in the coming days, we're likely going to see another test of this resistance soon enough. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see that right now, we still have that level of liquidity towards the downside sitting at around 85.8K. But with that being said, we have a lot of liquidity building just above the price. First of all, around 91.3K, and also a lot of liquidity at around 93.4 to 93.5K. And so those are basically just price targets to pay attention to for the price of Bitcoin. In case you're new to the channel, usually, not always, but usually the price of Bitcoin gets drawn towards wherever we have a lot of liquidity. So keep those levels in mind on the price chart as potential price targets to watch out for, but also don't forget, obviously, points of resistance along the way, which kind of acts as obstacles for the price. And so overall, those are all of the signals and the key levels to watch out for in the short term, and ultimately my prediction in the shorter term. And of course, the bigger picture, still needing to be cautious, at least for now, here on the daily time frame. But if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, you need to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And if you use the first link below the video in the description and in the pinned comment, that first link below the video will take you to the 2bit crypto exchange. And by the way, 2bit's also a no KYC exchange, and they've just partnered with La Liga. So there's currently a limited event happening right now of 800,000 USDT in prizes. So there's a whole bunch of different prizes here, which you can basically claim just by trading crypto using that first link below the video to 2bit. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. You might as well take advantage of this. Once again, first link below the video will take you to this page right here. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But if you want another option out there, another exchange that I also use to also claim some extra bonuses on, then in that situation, check out the second link below the video in the description and in the pinned comment, because the second link below this video will take you to this page right here over on the Pinex crypto exchange, which, by the way, you can also claim extra bonuses over here, as you can see. For example, if you make your account using that link below the video, the second link below the video to Pinex, complete KYC, you get a 50 USDT bonus on your account. And on top of that, there's deposit bonuses. If you deposit as little as 100 USDT, you get a 100 USDT bonus on your account. If you deposit 10,000, you get a 1,000 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. So basically a bunch of free money from the exchange, which you can claim using that second link below the video just by depositing or completing KYC. And so once again, you might as well do that if you're going to be trading crypto anyway. Second link below the video if you want to take advantage of this right here. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame. And right now, the Bitcoin dominance is still looking very neutral in terms of the trend or the price structure that we're in here on the daily time frame for the Bitcoin dominance, which basically tells us expect very similar price action for a lot of the altcoin market on average, especially the major altcoins out there. Expect very similar price action for the altcoins compared to what Bitcoin is doing. So not necessarily much better or much worse. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, obviously right now the price of ETH is still retesting this crucial level on the price chart, and so far starting to find a bit of resistance, which is to be expected around this level at around $3,040 to $3,050. But as a broader area to watch out for, really in between around 3,000 to 3.1K, we'll likely see the price at least a little bit struggle around that area, possibly even see another rejection from around that area on the price chart, considering it is right now acting as resistance, as we've seen in the past, obviously. But if we confirm a breakout, ideally above 3.1K with a daily candle close above that level and actually holding above that area, in that situation, the next significant resistance is at around 3.3K to 3.6K. 2.4k. And as for support, we have a lot of support down here in between 2750 to 2.8k. And if we're taking a look at this daily Ethereum price chart over the last 1 day, we've now officially confirmed a daily candle close back above this important ascending line of support, this previous support, which obviously we broke over the last few days. And now obviously we've broken back towards the upside above that line, which was sitting at around 2940. And so at least in the short term, obviously this is great to see. This is a bullish signal for the price of ETH because it now invalidates that previous break towards the downside. So basically this is now avoiding a further break towards the downside towards potentially much lower targets. So obviously once again, a short-term bullish signal, but also keep in mind that now we're testing this point of resistance, which means right around here, it's possible the price could struggle a little bit, but I would also now expect support at around 2940 to 2950 along this line right here, considering we're now back above that line. And then as I said earlier, if we break out ideally past 3.1k, in that situation, the next significant resistance and price target for the price of ETH is in between roughly 3.3k to 3.4k. And remember, at least at the moment, the price of ETH is likely going to perform very similar to whatever Bitcoin is doing, which means while Bitcoin is perhaps struggling a little bit in the short term, but still playing out this bullish divergence, expect something similar to that sort of price action for Ethereum as a very likely scenario here in the shorter term, especially while Ethereum here on the 6-hour time frame is also playing out its own bullish divergence, which is also technically still active. So basically, we're trying to play out the bullish divergence, which over the last few days has been perfectly playing out as expected, but now we're starting to run into resistance, as we can clearly see, which is starting to cause the price to struggle a little bit in the short term. But then obviously, if we can break out past that point of resistance here, causing the price to currently struggle in the short term, then we'll likely just continue the bullish divergence towards the next massive resistance. And so overall, as a very likely scenario in the imminent short term, expect the price to struggle a little bit, maybe some choppy sideways price action just under this resistance. And then if we break past that point, continue to expect a slight bullish relief, not necessarily a massive high momentum movement straight towards the upside, but just a slight bullish relief is quite likely if we can first, of course, get past this strong resistance here. But if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, obviously right now Solana is performing very similar to Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is to be expected. We're seeing a slight little bullish relief, but in the imminent short term, over the last few hours, over the last 1 day, starting to struggle a little bit. And in fact, right now the price of Solana is starting to retest this previous Fibonacci retracement level, sitting at around 124 to 125. So we'll likely find some support around that level. And if we were to actually confirm a break back below around 124 with confirmation, in that situation, the next significant support is at around 117 to 118. But once again, the immediate support at around 124 to 125. And if we hold above that level and continue a little bit more of a bullish relief in the coming days or over the next week or so, in that situation, we'll likely find more resistance at around 132, give or take. So just above $130 as the next potential point of resistance to watch out for. And above that, I'd expect massive resistance in between 143 to 147 if the price actually gets back up there. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, not a lot has changed over the last 1 day on this chart right here. So technically speaking, we still have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for. This has not gone away over the last 1 day, but obviously for now, we're still holding above that crucial level of support at around $1.80. So once again, not a lot has changed over the last 1 day on this chart right here for XRP. But if we're taking a look at this daily XRP price chart, we can see that obviously in the shorter term, we're continuing to hold above that crucial level of support at give or take $1.80. So once again, $1.80, still a very important level to watch out for on the price chart for the price of XRP. And so obviously, at least for now, while the price continues to hold that as support, and especially while Bitcoin and other major altcoins are playing out these bullish divergences, these bullish reliefs here in the short term, once again, that's likely going to assist XRP in the shorter term with just a slight little relief. Once again, don't necessarily expect a significant amount of strength or significant amount of bullish momentum, but just a slight little relief, maybe some slight bullish price action or some sideways price action is still quite likely in the coming days or maybe over the next 1 week, just the shorter term here. And as for resistance to watch out for, while we're playing out this slight little relief, expect some resistance at around 194 to 195. And above that, expect some major resistance around $2.05. more resistance at around 217 to 218, and massive resistance in between $2.30 to $2.40. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the 6-hour time frame, because on larger time frames, not a lot has changed over the last one day. So here on the 6-hour time frame, obviously, just like Bitcoin and Ethereum playing out those bullish divergences, Chainlink is also currently playing out a shorter term bullish divergence with lower lows in the price and higher lows in the RSI, telling us to expect either a slight bullish relief or maybe just a bit of choppy sideways price action as the most common outcomes from a bullish divergence. So basically, the price action that we've been seeing over the last couple of days is playing out exactly as predicted, and I continue to expect this sort of price action moving forward, at least over the coming hours or days, maybe even for around a week, that sort of time frame. And as for support and resistance, those sort of levels have not changed over the last one day for the price of Chainlink, so simply check out my last 1 or 2 videos if you want to know more about the specific support and resistance levels to watch out for. But overall, that's my expectation in the shorter term for the price of Chainlink in the coming days here. And once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links below this video. So those exchanges, if you want to take advantage of the massive bonuses that you can claim using those links below the video if you want to. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well take advantage of those extra bonuses using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto, no matter what the price does, no matter what direction the price goes, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.